Gruesome Magazine.
Hello, once again, I'm your host, Doc Rodden, and this is Gruesome Magazine, where we review the very latest in theatrical and streaming horror movies. Each week, the Gruesome Magazine Grue-Crew, yes, we'll take a look at various spooky, scary, and gory genre offerings. Tonight, we're reviewing The Seeding. No L, just The Seeding. All right, and let me introduce the crew. Joining me this week's my co-host, Jeff Mohr. Jeff, how you doing, sir?
I'm still trying to figure out the Noel.
Seedling. We kept doing Seedling. No.
I am doing great. We are spanning the continent now.
Yes. One coast to another.
Yes.
Yay.
Yes. All right. Also joining this week is Crystal Keefe, the Living Dead Girl, with her Elm Street shirt on. How you doing?
Good. Sorry, I was just sneezing. It's really cold here, and it's cold here in the basement too. So sorry about that. I'm like,
Achoo.
yeah, achoo. My PD treats.
No. Also joining us is award-winning filmmaker. Say it with me, Christopher G. Mohr.
Just be glad you weren't on the conversation before we recorded this. Because I hate you, Crystal.
I love you.
Hello, people. Let's just glad we're not all trapped in a desert hole.
Oh, that's for sure.
You said a-hole. All right, what we're going to do tonight is review.
There was another word in between there. But
we're gonna say bad jokes and review The Seeding. Or at least one of those might have good jokes. The Seeding. Just going south quickly. All right, we're going to give you our first impressions. Those first impressions will be spoiler free, and then we'll dive into a discussion. We'll get into spoilers. I think this movie has spoilers. I'm still trying to figure it out, and then we'll wrap things up with our score 1 to 5 and our favorite scene. Yeah, that's going to happen. And we hope you enjoy not only this review but many others that we have on the site. If you do, please hit the like, subscribe, and share with a friend buttons. Each of them is easy and free to do, and every click will help us find more horror fans just like you. Mm-hmm. Yay! Let's do the COD. Boink.
The COD.
The Seeding 2024 from Magnolia Pictures, available everywhere beginning January 26, 2024. Synopsis is: a hiker lost in the desert takes refuge with a woman living alone and soon discovers she might not be there willingly. Written and directed by Barnaby Clay, the cast includes Scott Haze and Caitlin Sheil. Boink. Yeah. All right, let's find out what our first impressions are. Crystal, you are.
Oh, that's so horrible. I was waiting. I was like, Christopher? Okay. So,
yes.
Y'all.
Yes.
This movie is really, really weird. Okay. Then when I say weird, you think I'm probably talking one level weird. And that's not the level of weird I'm talking about. It's a whole nother level of weird. Honestly, I still don't know how I feel about this film. And it sat with me for a day and a half. And I'm still just trying to process it all. I will say that the cinematography is very, very nice. It opens with a small child eating some chicken or whatever it was, or something, or whatever that thing was. And the child is, it was a finger? It didn't look like a finger.
Yes, it was a finger.
It was a finger.
It was a finger.
Oh, well, it didn't look like a finger. Cheese and rice. Okay. That's awkward. Well, I guess that makes more sense with Doc's cannibal babies. But anyway, literally no one's motivations.
Out of context, that's so weird.
Yeah. None of anyone's motivations in this film make any sense to me at all whatsoever. I don't get the lead dude's thing. He was going out to take some photos. I'm assuming he parks in the middle of nowhere to take these.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, because that's what he had to do, right? Apparently a lot of people come to this area because that's how they get all of their stuff by, anyway, I don't like this film, but I don't necessarily hate it. This is how difficult this film is for me. I mean, the acting was pretty good. The story's trash. Y'all, I'm serious. Like, I am serious. I don't know how I feel about it. I'm like, I don't, I can't, I'm really at a loss, and I'm not kidding. And I have been thinking hard about this, and I'm like, I wouldn't recommend it, but I wouldn't say don't watch it either. See, I hope y'all have a better analysis of this, because usually I know exactly how I feel about a film, and with this one, I don't. I honestly don't know how I feel. It's like incestuous, like a nasty incestuous family, but it's not really, and it's bigger than that, but it's smaller than that technically, because it's all in one little, hole in the desert. Yeah, it's y'all. Why didn't he try harder? I don't know. I don't know anything anymore after watching this film, and I'm done. I don't know how I feel. There you go.
Christopher G. Mohr. Follow that if you can. You're up next. What was your first impression of the seating?
Jesus, hopefully someone can do better than that. Come on.
This film would probably be a good double feature with Men.
Weird. Okay.
Which, because I feel like there's probably some allegorical elements of this. Because I think it does deal with like everything from like the fear of isolation to toxic masculinity and all that stuff. And so I think that why the masculinity part is probably why I feel like it's a good sort of companion piece, where it's kind of like the swap, because in Men you had like all these men doing these weird things, and this one you have almost like the female version of that. I think I will say the main strength of this movie is the cinematography and the location. Because the whole time I'm watching, I was like, I almost felt like, are they using one of those video walls? Because this place looks gorgeous. The place they shot, and just how, I mean, even like the overhead shots with the building and stuff, it just looks very beautiful. Story wise, it goes off into Wackyville. It gets very artsy. It had one of those things that if you've listened to any of my reviews, I hate it when you have a supposedly protagonist who's just an asshole throughout the whole movie. And he's almost like a humorless Bill Burr.
Oh, dear God.
Because if you look at him, he's almost like Bill Burr, but if he was not funny. And if he was just like full on asshole, but not funny asshole. And that's basically what, and then it's like, you keep thinking like his character is like so selfish throughout like 80%, 90% of the movie, pretty much. And I mean, granted, it does have some interesting concepts or just ideas, because there's just how that the woman tracks her periods is not something I've ever seen in a movie before. But I mean, but then also a lot of it doesn't make sense. And I think that's when it goes off into sort of like Men or Mother or any of those kind of weird sort of artsy fartsy things where it's more just about the ideas they're creating as opposed to it making sense. Like, because then when it comes to the kids that show up, I'm like, where are they staying? Where are they getting all this stuff from? Or I don't know. I don't understand. And again, that's when it goes into sort of like, that's when it becomes more allegorical. And I guess are they supernaturally there or not there? I don't know. Is this I know there's a mention of mirage, so maybe this whole thing is just a mirage in his head. I don't know. But I think it's got some interesting visuals and there's an interesting idea there, but then you have to suffer through this guy, like getting to different levels of assholery and how he acts and is a jerk. And even to the level of, just without giving too much away, being a feral version of himself. And you keep like, okay, well, when is this going to end? But yeah, it has almost like it almost has a folk horror element to it as well, I would say. But yeah, it is much more of an artistic thing. So I don't hate it like I would normally hate because I think so visually I was so astounded by some of the visuals, but
weird.
I the whole time I'm like, I have no understanding what's happening here or any kind of revelations of what's happening here. So it doesn't. I mean, you kind of know, you pretty much know where it's probably going to end anyhow. It's pretty obvious where it's going to end up at some point, even though there's a lot of weird things that happen. Like, okay, this gets very, very, very ritualistic. But anyway, visually it looks good. I can say that. I can say nice things about that.
Visually it looks good. Jeff, what is your first impression of the seating?
I think we're pretty much on the same page. I love the location and the cinematography. I could have looked. I mean, as long as they linger on some of those shots, I wanted to keep looking at them.
Yeah.
You know, the weird contours of the cliff side and the layers and the one shot where they're looking down and it looks like they're down in a land in a hole, you know, through a hole, even though it was a bigger opening than that. But this is one of those movies. And I like the two leads. I thought they did a good job. Scott Haze and Caitlin Sheil. I thought they did a good job playing their characters, but you have, this is like the most unreliable narrator you could have almost. The woman can't, they have their names in here, but I never heard names hardly at all.
I don't think she never said her name. He asked her and she didn't answer. Yeah.
I don't even remember his name. It gives his name as Wyndham Stone, but I don't remember Wyndham.
You see it on his license.
Actually, you see it on his ID. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay. So anyway, and the kids, they all have names in the script, but we only find out one of them. So it's weird. If you want to watch a movie for the location and the beautiful cinematography and a few really bizarre scenes, then go ahead. But when you're done, when you finally figure out what's going on, or when they finally show you what's going on, you'll go, well, that doesn't make any sense. You know?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like The Hills Have Eyes, I think, you know, in a way.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking that too.
In terms of the story, you know, that why are they out there? What are they doing? But and I hope I'm not giving anything away. So I wouldn't say I hate it. I wouldn't recommend it to people unless I gave them a caveat, you know, that this is gonna probably irritate you at the end. And the guy was doing stuff. This guy, right from the very beginning, and I know, you know, we know we're watching a horror movie, so we know right off the bat, no, you idiot, don't follow that kid.
No shit.
Right.
And that happens 2 or 3 times. He has chances to turn back, and it's a little weird that he seems very altruistic at that beginning, but then I guess the farther you go in the movie, the more selfish he gets. You know, the more bigger asshole he becomes. Anyway.
Yeah. So the movie about an asshole.
You're kind of stuck on that today.
I know. It's just, I don't know why. This movie, the acting with our two leads and some of the kids are it's really strong, and the location's really interesting. I think most of the movie kind of leans and rides on the location itself, which looks like an actual location somewhere out there that they have access to. And the nature of the story is initially interesting, and like you said, cinematography is great, but it I don't know, for me it never really went anywhere. There's a lot of suggestions and stuff. You know, you've got the weird calendar on the wall, which we need to talk about because I have a lot of questions about that. And then you have the paintings that are on the wall of the cave that they have, which suggest something far more supernatural than what we ever get to see. And it's not necessarily a character study either. I'm not really, you know, it's the whole, you know, it's trying to place like what kind of story is it? I guess it's kind of a twisted Odyssey kind of thing. This guy's on his journey, but he can't get out. And I don't know. At the end, I was like, well, that's a cool shot, but man, I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
I'm ready to go. But it'd be much cooler if he got up at that point.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that in a minute. But so me, I'm torn. Much like Crystal said, I don't think I could ever say I liked it, but I don't necessarily, think it's absolutely garbage and trash. The story is just so bare in what it shares. I feel like there's a story there, and we've talked about this a couple times where it from an audience member, it feels like the filmmakers had a bigger story in their heads, but it didn't all make it to the screen for us to know what they had in mind. And I kind of feel like this is a good candidate for that.
Well, none of it made any damn sense. Like, let's be real. None of that made sense, because what was the end game here? Like she said, she said the same
Procreate, right? Procreate?
Yeah, but yeah. And then that person, why? Okay, like y'all were talking about the baby eating a finger, and yet let me tell you something. No one was eating him because he was a mummy, practically. They the body's mummified.
But what about the girl that they
maybe her?
Yeah. So I don't think everybody made it down there. I think only they chose who got to go down in there, because I think all of these kids are byproducts of this process.
Of course, yeah.
And what
brothers.
Yeah, half brothers at the very least. So can we start about the calendar? Crystal, I need your assistance on this, because she makes the calendar by her cycle, right? And puts the little things. There's a lot. So roughly each calendar knock is a month, right? Roughly.
Okay.
Agree?
Sure.
There's a lot of marks on the wall. There's more. There's decades.
Because her mom did the same thing. Remember?
Is that what they said?
My mom. Yeah.
Yeah.
She
carrying
said
on the
that
tradition.
The one that was pictured in ugly on the wall.
Yeah, and she was having a daughter, and she said eventually she'll be mother. She'll do the same thing. This is how they live. Like, this is their whole. I don't get it. I don't understand it. It seems.
Well, and. I'm not. Well, I think that's the problem. There's moments where I felt like that guy. Like, what is happening here?
Yeah.
I was like, I'm feeling the same thing, dude, because I have no idea. I mean, it's like they have all these elements that kind of tie into some kind of like, mythology or ritual, because there's all these paintings on that walls of like. People's heads being chopped off and all these different things, and monsters possibly.
Snake lady.
But then it's like they don't explain about like I mean, in the very beginning, I thought we saw the little kid and then we saw the boy, and I was like, did the little kid become the boy? Did they grow very fast in the desert? Weird. So I kept trying to rationalize what I was seeing here, and then we meet these kids that are just all like, the most jerkish kids you could ever meet. Almost like the Lost Boys if they were not cool and sparkly.
Yeah.
And then we have these characters, and then to me it's like first of all, the guy character, he doesn't really change a lot. He's just
no.
I hate to keep saying he's asshole, but he's just like this jerkish asshole. It's like I was like, dude, the girl's trying to put like a metal sheathing thing on top of the house. Help the woman. You're so concerned about leaving. But then it's like, it doesn't make sense, because like you think, well, maybe this woman isn't in on this. Maybe she wants to escape too. And there's a moment where he's talking to the kids like, yeah, if you can help us escape. And then she cries.
I think she was. I think she actually was on board with him, and she was interested in that. And then him talking to the boy, until he killed him, and then she realized this is not, and that's why she caged him.
But then they also they seem to all have this kind of birthmark on their back, this reddish birthmark or whatever, which they cut out on the one kid they killed. So then I'm like, what does that mean?
That means they're not part of the family anymore.
I guess so. But then it's like, what is that? Does that mean something? That's the thing. I feel like there's They could.
You
There's
know?
they probably have some kind of book. Of there's meaning behind this. Sort of like Men or Mother. These things that have these grand concepts. Maybe it's masculinity, and I don't totally get it. But it's so focused on that it doesn't really. There's not much of a story. They're not really. Nothing really explains. I'd really like to have more information, but because it's so kind of general and doesn't really make a lot of sense, it just feels like a fever dream. It doesn't feel like it's a real film, real story.
Part of what my issue is okay, so this has been happening or whatever, and those are apparently all of her children, okay, right? Until she had the girl. I do think that, like, where are all the other older men?
The older children?
Yeah, that would be her siblings.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess they go out into the wild, or they.
That's what I'm saying. Like, there's no real. Where are the ones that her mom had that were the boys? Mm-hmm. Where are they? Because there's no men up there. They're all like kids, or Or
well,
whatever.
they mention
very confusing.
Some place that the one boy can't leave, and they call it a palace. And I wasn't sure if they were referring to the hole in the ground or some other place. And I kind of got the impression it was some other place. I mean, the one that gets strung up said that. So.
But they brought all those specific items. It seems like from town or whatever. So
I feel like they just keep robbing people. Like the boy took the water from him. And had he just let the boy go, the boy would have had his water and the little thing, and that's it. I think they're just robbing people. That's what my assumption was. I don't think they're necessarily killing everyone that comes out there. I think they're stealing, though, for sure.
Well, they're
stealing a whole crate of
yeah,
chickens?
But she was going to be a problem. Well, they're wild chickens. They have wild chickens.
They probably raised them.
But they have like I don't know. There's just too many.
There's a lot of questions they don't answer.
Oh, I know. I'm not saying. Yeah.
How does she control these boys? They're all up above the rim. They never, and they seem to. There's a secret way to get down there, apparently, or they can all put that ladder down and sneak down without making any noise whatsoever. And this thing about the scars or the mark on their back, at one point I thought she had this big mark on her back, but then the next time I saw her, I thought it was her hair. So I don't know.
Then there's.
I think the first time you saw her bathing, you saw the mark on her back, right?
Yeah, but then there's one point where the one guy who's almost like dressed in partial drag or whatever, and he's like, "You're my F boy, or I'm gonna F you." I was like, I thought they were gonna rape the guy.
Me too, for a second.
And I was like, oh God.
The next time they showed her back, though, Doc, all I saw was hair hanging down there. I didn't see that mark. So I'm with you. I feel like there's some kind of they want you to think there's some kind of weird, matriarchal religion, but it's not. She doesn't really control the boys because they're out
because they killed the dude. Like, they did what they wanted, and then when they came down to attack him, she's like, "What did they do to you?" Like, she has no control.
But the only reason to think that there is something like that is that there's these paintings on the wall. And I don't know. And she never answers his questions. That's because in the end, he ain't gonna like the answers. If she tells him right up front, you're pretty well fucked. You're gonna die down here, and it won't be all that long from now. But first we'll have sex, so I can have a baby.
Did they put a crown of penises on her head? Is that what?
I didn't see that.
I saw that. Yeah,
I was like
a necklace of penis necklace.
Wow,
yeah,
I missed that.
Yeah, there's like when at the end when they have the whole like folk horror thing where they put the sheet on her head and there's blood and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, there's like they put this thing and it's like a necklace of. And I was like, wait a minute, is that penises?
It looked like that, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I think. That's why I feel like this whole movie is just it's just.
A string of ideas, maybe?
It's more artistic. It's more artistic and more, allegory. It's not a straight story. And I think they're trying to come across. I mean, Doc, how much I hate Mother, but that movie,
Mother.
That movie is just all like, it's all more, it's visual.
I enjoyed it.
Well,
Does
I
it
don't
hurt?
care. I don't care what you think, Crystal. But
I hated it too, Chris. I
okay, good.
despised it.
But yeah, I don't. Again, I don't mind that sometimes if you have interesting ideas, but sometimes you get you're so overwhelmed with like, we need this is about this idea, but even the idea doesn't. If the idea doesn't come across as good, then you've kind of failed at what you're doing. And again, that's why I just the whole time the only reason I kept watching is like, man, this shot is so good. Man, where did I think they shot it in a place actually on location in Utah, a place in Utah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But
That's
but
okay.
I mean that location, I'm wondering if they did any kind of visual effects, if there's actually a hole there. But that location itself is millions of dollars of production value because the whole time I'm thinking they use the wall in like the Mandalorian because there's a part where he's walking from the house and you see the back of it and like, man, that's such a beautiful, that can't be on location. And I think that's the strong point of this whole movie. I mean, granted, as much as the story, I think the actors did a great job. But you're still dealing with the story that doesn't make a lot of sense and characters don't have any kind of arcs per se.
there's no
Yeah, and by
No
the end you're
one.
left with
No
like,
conflict is confusing.
yeah, what did I watch?
Yep. All right, well, let's go ahead and wrap this. Find out what we watch. Let's wrap this up and give it a score 1 to 5, and pick a favorite scene with or without penis necklaces. So you're up first.
Okay. So
Yeah.
I think I'm going to give it a 2, and I'll say my favorite scene because I did kind of like it was a dream scene where he had a cut and then you see the eyeball. I mean, that was kind of cool. I don't know, y'all. I don't know anymore. I don't know what life is anymore.
Don't know what life is anymore.
It's just weird.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Christopher, you're up next. What's your score and favorite scene?
I'm kind of torn because I want to give it a good rating for the visuals, but the story is so
Shite.
just not there. I'm going to give it a 2.75.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
I think, and that's just the visuals only, not for anything else. Because I think I literally from that opening shot where he goes down like the railings and stuff, I was like, man, this is so beautiful. As for favorite scene, this is a weird scene, but I call it the Teletubby scene because when he accidentally films something on his camera and she's looking at it, she's like, again.
Oh yeah.
Well, the music
again. And I was like, it felt like Teletubbies, but it felt kind of natural. And I kept thinking, like, if somebody has never listened to music or never saw a video, I feel like that's how they would respond. Oh my God, that they would be so enamored by that. And it seems such I mean, I wish there was more. I really wish that they just thrown away a lot of the allegory stuff and just made it a straight story. This would have been so much better because I think, especially production value, kind of wasted it. But yeah, I thought that seemed like a natural moment that I really thoroughly enjoyed. And I wish there was more of that in that instead of him like, screw you, I'm going to try to crawl out of here again.
Literally.
Yeah.
Jeff, you're up next. What's your score and favorite scene?
I'm going to give this a 3.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
Just so I could be the highest one. No.
There you go.
I had a
There you
feeling.
go. Yeah.
No, that's what I had, what I was thinking. And the reason being that I am glad that I watched this. And I think the cinematography and the location and the acting overpowers the fact that it has this completely unsatisfying story. So if that's what you like, then you'll be fine with this. It leaves it to your interpretation or you get to kind of like make up the whole backstory of this thing if you want. So anyway, that's my 3. And my favorite scene, I'm going to go with the kid suspended up in the air. I will not. That image is stuck in my head. That was so freaky. Anyway.
Nice. But for me, I'm going to keep it simple. 2.25. Almost 2.5, but not quite. And then favorites. Okay. There's a shot of the guy after everything's said and done. He's a little. You get the idea that he's basically worm food, and he's gonna, he's gonna basically.
Oh, that
nurture
explains why the
soil.
ground is so good. See,
Yeah, all the dead bodies.
okay, you know what? You
Bodies,
just made me realize. So he's like, for some reason, the ground is really fertile down.
Yep.
Sorry,
no,
All the
that just
dead
struck
guys.
me.
So,
Yeah, okay.
but man, in my head, he got up and walked in there and beat the shit out of her. So, but that was a cool movie in my head. But anyway, I thought it was a really good shot. It looked really great, and but the movie did not satisfy me as far as a story. But I did enjoy the visual, and I would credit the acting as well.
Oh yeah, for sure, I would too.
All right. Well, there you go. That's our review of the
Yay.
seating. Check it out. I am told it's everywhere. So that means it's going to be in theaters, VOD, everywhere. I love it. That's what they literally said in the theater. Everywhere. January 26, 2024 on. So let us know what you think of the seating. I'm really curious on what audiences will think of this.
I think a lot of people could wind up liking it. But I mean, I like artistic films or artsy fartsy films as long as they make sense to me, and this just didn't make sense. So
didn't quite get there. All right. Well, Christopher, Crystal, Jeff, thank you for joining me. This was a lot of fun.
Thank for having us.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All
so much fun.
Let's get out of here. Let's say goodnight.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.